What's up, guys? So tomorrow we're going to be fishing Lake Hartwell on the South Carolina side. Last Saturday I fished Lake Hartwell in my kayak. I'll be on a bass boat tomorrow, so we're going to be changing things up a little bit. But I kind of wanted to go over some of the conditions at Lake Hartwell and basically my 5-rod setup for how I plan to fish tomorrow. So we are in the late summer here in South Carolina. The water temperatures in Lake Hartwell have been anywhere from the high 80s, low 90s. This past Saturday they were still up at about 88% or 88 Fahrenheit. So it's pretty warm. On the 2D sonar I saw bait fish that were around 14-15 feet, a little bit deeper. Once I bumped the sensitivity up on my 2D sonar, I was able to see basically some thermocline just below that. So that was kind of what I was targeting last weekend. But we're going to be changing some things up. So a lot of these fish are pulling up into basically the rivers that feed Lake Hartwell. So I believe we're going to be going up that way, hopefully getting some of that cooler water. Those fish like that cooler water to where you're going to have a little bit more oxygenation with the current and it's being moved. So that's their plan for tomorrow. But I kind of want to go over my rod setup and what I plan to fish tomorrow. I'm going to keep it pretty simple. I've got 5 rods. So the first one is my 7.3 Ducket medium heavy with a Lew's Super Duty. And I'm basically going to be throwing Topwater starting off. So last Saturday I had this buzz bait set up and the fish were nailing the top of it. So I may be adding a trailer hook to it, try to get a little bit of a better hookup ratio, but that's what we're going to start off with, is a buzz bait. Once the buzz bait, if we do see some schooling fish, I may try to throw a fluke, but I'm also going to be working basically a white swim jig. This one's by Guggen Squad. It's got a really good swim bait on there, paddle tail. It's got some really good action. This is really, I mean, obviously a swim jig is going to be a truly weedless, grassless design. So Lake Hartwell does have some pretty thick vegetation in some spots, so I think this would be a really good choice to go to. Once we switch over to that, if we do see some of those fish are sitting down a little bit lower, we're going to switch over to basically our deep diving crankbait. So I've got this one goes down to about 16 feet, and I try to get that shad. Blueback heron is basically what the primary bait fish is for Lake Hartwell. So we're going to be switching over to this. I have this on 15-pound test, 100% fluorocarbon. So we're going to be throwing this down and hopefully targeting some of those fish that are on some structure, or going after some of those bait fish down in that 15-16 feet mark. If we do have some structure around the bank, I want to kind of go to basically my go-to setup for my spinning rod, and that's going to be a Wacky Rig. So I love basically this color here, and this is the watermelon candy. And this is the 5-inch Yum Dinger. Got on a wide wacky hook, weedless wacky hook. I believe this is a 2/0. So this is my go-to setup if we have some structure, some laydowns around the bank. I'm going to be pitching this over there, letting it sink, giving it a little pop-up action, and then hopefully we can get that strike again once we let that bait start to sink down around that structure. So we'll be doing that. Also like to switch over and go to a shaky head. Also I've got some basically a watermelon candy, the same type color, set up for a shaky head as well. And then I have to switch over after that. Once the water gets a little higher, the sun gets up a little bit, we're going to be targeting some of those off-structure fish, and that's what I'm going to run basically my worm rod. So this is South Carolina, so I've got to go with the old trusty ball and chain. So I've got a Carolina rig set up. I've got this on basically 50-pound braid with 15-pound monofilament leader. My leader is about 2 feet, and you can see there I just use one glass bead. Usually gives a pretty good sound, pretty good action. And I've got, again, watermelon candy, which is my go-to color for my worm on this, and I may switch over to basically a finesse worm as well. So that's the goal for tomorrow. We're going to keep it simple. We're going to stick with a 5-rod setup, pretty straightforward tactic. I'll bring some extra baits, some gear with me if we need to change some things up. But that's a go-to for tomorrow. So stay tuned, check back with us tomorrow, and see what we're able to do. Thanks.